So I just finished watching all 6 Star Wars movies for the first time, and here's what I thought of them. So, just to let you guys know, this is like, I never grew up with Star Wars, okay? I always grew up with stuff that my parents grew up with. So, if my parents grew up with Jurassic Park or Indiana Jones or He-Man, I grew up watching those things, you know? And since my parents never grew up watching Star Wars, I never grew up watching Star Wars, you know? So, only recently, like I think it was about 6 months ago, did I say, hey, like, I should check out Star Wars. You know, my uncle, who's a big Star Wars fan, he's always urging me, he's like, hey, you should watch Star Wars, you should watch Star Wars. Finally, I decided to check out all 6 Star Wars movies, and I thought that they were good. I really did think that these were amazing films. I just want to say real quick, I'm not trying to offend any fans of Star Wars, but I thought this trilogy was severely overrated, but not bad, if that makes sense, okay? I thought these films were actually amazing. There's so much good world building, storytelling, cinematography. There's a lot of storytelling. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Like, I remember one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars is where Luke is looking off at the sunset. That's a really good scene. Not to mention John Williams' music. It's amazing in Star Wars, you know? I swear, back in like the 80s and 90s, man, he was going crazy with music. I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't know, Star Wars 70s, 80s, you know what I mean? That's when Star Wars came out, but John Williams was going crazy with music back then. Like, his music was amazing, and his Star Wars music is no different. And again, like, there are so many good things in Star Wars. Again, the storytelling, the characters, the story itself, the world building, the emotion, everything in it is really good. I will say that the action is not as good as I thought it was going to be in the originals, but I understand due to like it being such an old film. Honestly though, like in the prequels, that's where like the fight scenes got really, really good. I don't think the fight scenes ever got better after the prequels. And I really think that like Star Wars as a whole is a good trilogy. The original trilogy, I thought it was really solid. I thought that they were great films. I just don't think they deserved the recognition and the insane and immense amount of fame that they got. They got so much fame. Like, every single time you hear, like, imagine, like, you just go looking around at a Comic-Con. It's impossible to go to a Comic-Con and not see somebody mention or dress up as a Star Wars character. It's impossible, you know? The fan base is so big and powerful, and I just kind of wonder where they got all the hype, you know what I mean? I do love the Star Wars trilogies. It's just I don't really understand where it all came from, because I would consider the original Star Wars trilogy to be like a masterpiece, especially if it's like the Star Wars, right? Before I saw Star Wars, right? I always considered it as like a historical film. You know what a historical film is? Not like something that took place back in the day. No, I'm talking like a film that The Wizard of Oz or the Ten Commandments. Like, those are historical films because they revolutionized cinema. That's what I always saw Star Wars as, and I still see Star Wars as a film like that. Not just as a great trilogy, but I also see it as a historical film. Here, I don't know, with the fans and stuff, I understand if people love it because it's such a historical film and it's such a great trilogy, but I don't understand why people love it as much as they do, you know? I swear, Star Wars is almost like cancel culture. You cannot have a hot take on Star Wars and not have a bunch of people screaming at you saying, no, that's not how it should have been. I actually kind of agree with Harrison Ford when Harrison Ford said that Han Solo should have died. I kind of agree with him. But yeah, I don't know. I love Star Wars. I actually like Star Wars a lot. This video might seem like I hate Star Wars, but I actually like it a lot. I like the prequels a lot too. I like, Revenge of the Sith and the Phantom, The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I think those movies are not, like, very well put together, but they actually are really entertaining. Like, the lightsaber fights in those movies are amazing. The stories in those movies are really interesting. It's just I didn't think that they were executed as well as they should have been. And I do think that, like, the Revenge of the Sith might be my favorite Star Wars movie, but the best one is probably Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back. I do like Revenge of the Sith a lot, though. Really like that movie. But like, I don't think the prequel trilogy is perfect. I just think that like the first two are entertaining, but they're not that good. Revenge of the Sith is really good, and then I think the original trilogy is like really, really good. I will say too, like, think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of a kid from the 80s or a kid from the 70s watching Star Wars for the first time. It must have been something else, man. Nowadays, we have all this CG, but imagine watching that when it first came out. It was something else, like, you just see a lot of the scenery and a lot of the shots in Star Wars, and, it was something else, you just couldn't. It was a different experience back then, Again, I do say that I like Star Wars a lot. I love its universe. I love its characters. Everything about the original trilogy is really great. Would I call it a masterpiece? Maybe. It's just that the fan base is really, like, I don't know. They claim it to be like a flawless trilogy, and I would not say that it's a flawless trilogy. There's stuff here and there that I think could have been improved or should have been done a little bit differently. But I do think it is a great trilogy, an amazing trilogy. I'm glad I saw Star Wars. This video might seem like, oh, you hate Star Wars, because I did some recordings a while ago, and it really did make it seem like I hated Star Wars. But no, I like Star Wars a lot. I really do like Star Wars a lot. I really like the prequel characters too. Like, I think a lot of the prequel characters are enjoyable. A lot of the original trilogy characters are enjoyable. I've also seen the Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, and Obi-Wan, and while some of them were not as good as others, I still enjoyed them a lot. Again, I do think that Star Wars is a great franchise. I just think that it doesn't really deserve the amount of, like, hype as it does, you know what I mean? Like, there are so many people that claim it to be, like, they just look into the tiniest details of the movie, but it's one of those films that I think you should go into details, but I don't think you should go that far, Again, I think that Star Wars is a great, great trilogy, historical film as well. I just think that maybe the fan base is one of the worst parts of it. Worst and best. But what do y'all think of Star Wars? Are y'all Star Wars fans? What do y'all think of Star Wars? I would like to get the perspective of like a longtime Star Wars fan. I've only been a Star Wars fan for maybe like half a year by this point. I would like to know y'all's opinion. Why do y'all like Star Wars? I'm interested in that, because while I did like the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, it didn't have like the biggest impact on me as a lot of other people did. I did like them a lot. It just, I didn't get the same reaction out of it as a lot of other people. So what do y'all think of Star Wars? I would like to get the perspective of an old, long-time fan of Star Wars. Why do y'all like Star Wars? Why do you like it so much? Why is it good? Why is it a masterpiece, I would really like to know. But thank you all so much for watching. God bless you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. I do movie, TV related reviews on my channel, so I'd appreciate a sub if you're into that. God bless you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.